This is Mrs. Moret with a video on how to find a missing side of a right triangle using trig ratios. So the triangle we're looking at has this 46-degree angle, and the 46-degree angle is here, and the side opposite that is marked with an 8, so it's got a measurement of 8. This is the opposite side. And the side that we're looking for is the hypotenuse. That's where the x is. This is the hypotenuse. So when we look at the trig ratios using SOHCAHTOA, the ratio that uses the opposite leg and the hypotenuse is sine. So we can write an equation to find the length of x by setting up the sine of the angle that we know, 46, is equal to 8 over x. And to solve this equation, we can just make it into a proportion. There's lots of ways to do this, but a proportion makes it pretty simple. So remember that you can always put 1 under any value and it doesn't change its value. So since the sine of 46 is just a numerical value, if we put a 1 under it, nothing has changed. So now that we have a proportion, in proportions, cross products are equal. And so I know if I multiply this way, then the sine of 46 times x is equal to multiplying this way. Well, 1 times 8 is just 8. And so to get x all by itself, we can divide by the sine of 46. And we'll do that on both sides of the equation. So to divide 8 by the sine of 46, you're going to need to have a calculator that has sine, cosine, and tangent on it. And so most calculators do, the scientific calculators, the graphing calculators. And if you don't have one of those available, you can always use Desmos. So in Desmos, the first thing you're going to want to do, no matter what kind of calculator you're using, is because our triangle angle measurements are in degrees, we also want to make sure that we switch the mode to degrees on the calculator. So you can do that using the mode button on a scientific or graphing calculator. You push this tool button and highlight degrees using Desmos. So again, we needed to calculate 8 divided by the sine of 46. And so using the menu down here in Desmos, we can type in 8 divided by, and under the functions option, there are trig functions, and here's sine. And just type in 46, and we get our value is about 11.12. So back here on this equation, I'm going to say x equals 11.12. Done. On this next problem, find a missing side, we're looking for x, and x is one of the legs of the right triangle. And so again, the angle that we know is the 72-degree angle. So in reference to this angle, this is the opposite leg, and this is the adjacent leg. And so the opposite leg is x, the adjacent leg is 20. We don't know the hypotenuse, and so tangent is going to be the ratio that we use. So what I know is that the tangent of 72 is equal to x over 20, or x divided by 20. And again, there's always going to be multiple ways that you can go about solving an equation like this. But if you like to keep things consistent, then just put your 1 under here and do the cross products. So going this way, 20 times the tangent of 72 is equal to 1 times x, which is just x. So this time, all you need to put into the calculator is 20 times the tangent of 72. So 20, and then times, and then using the functions, under trig, here's tangent and 72. So 61.55 if we round correctly. So 61.55. And that seems reasonable. It's across from the 72-degree angle, so it should be more than 20, and 61.75 looks great. Okay, and then our last example here, trying to find a missing side. Again, we always want to know, well, what angle do we know? We know this angle here is 74 degrees. And in reference to that, this side here that's labeled with a 19 is the adjacent leg. And because the side with the x is opposite the right angle, this is the hypotenuse. So the trig ratio that uses adjacent leg and hypotenuse is this one here, cosine. So I'll set up my equation. The cosine of 74 is equal to the adjacent leg, which is 19, divided by the hypotenuse, which is x. And so we'll just put a 1 under this. So again, we have a proportion, and we can find the cross products and make them equal to each other. And then this cross product, 1 times 19 is just 19. So to get x by itself, divide by the cosine of 74 on each side. So using the Desmos calculator, I need to do 19 divided by the the cosine of 74. So 19 divided by cosine of 74. And it looks like 68.93 is our answer. And there we go. So that was a review of finding a missing side in a right triangle using the trig ratios.